Hello friends, good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. So we are done with 5 exams, right? So today we are done with SEMP. We are left with one more, right? We are left with 3 more exams, of which we'll focus on the next one, economic loss. Right? Shall we start with the session?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, we'll start with the session. Now, economic loss, coming to this subject on economic loss. So basically, this subject would be easy when compared to the other subjects. Not only because of it being the open book exams, the second one is the chances of they asking tricky questions are very less. Normally, it will be straightforward. The only challenge that we'll have is to look at the answer in the material, for which what we have to do, if we have not looked into that aspect, what should we do in the next 1.5 days? We'll be looking into that. We'll be discussing about that in this session. So yes, it would be easy, but we should not be complacent. Why? Because easily we can score 70 plus 80 plus in this paper, so we should not miss this opportunity. With this paper, will take care of the entire group 2. The entire group 2 marks will be taken care, because if we get 80 plus in this paper, the other 3 papers, even if we get 40 plus, we are clearing this paper, clearing this group entirely, right? So make use of this group, this paper entirely, score the maximum marks that you can in this paper, so that we can maximize the group's mark itself. Can I be made the co-host? Yes. Right. So with this, we'll start the session on economic loss. So ultimately, we have to stay positive. However, today's paper was, we should keep it aside. We have to stay positive, work hard for the balance 3 papers pending, right? And make it happen, because however this paper has happened today, I'm not sure how it was, and we are not bothered of also. Why? Because it's already happened, right? Keep it aside. Since we have put in the efforts, we are bound to get good marks there, and focus on the other 3 papers, just in case if this paper was not good, we can compensate in the next 3 papers. So stay positive and work hard, focus on the future. This is open book exam. That is the first point that we have to keep in mind. Since this being an open book exam, we'll have 4 hours, right? It's 2 to 6, not 2 to 5, the examination, right? We'll have 4 hours. So allocate, ultimately we have 4 case studies. 4 case studies that would be, that we have to answer. 5 will be given, 4 to be answered. 4 case studies of 25 marks each. Correct? 25 marks each. Now, so we can easily have the time management done, because it's 1 hour per case study. However, finish it 50 minutes. We have a target of 50 minutes, so that we'll finish it by 1 hour. So we should not exceed the time per case study. Now, any case study given, don't read the case study in full at the beginning. Just read through the lines, so that you will understand the context, which are the chapters that they're focusing on, which are the laws that they're focusing on. Then directly go to the questions. Once we go through the questions, now we will get to know which part of the case study this question is focusing on. Come back to that part and read that part of the case study in full. Okay, now you will get to know the requirement of the question, which is the part that you have to refer. So you would have carried the material, read that, refer that material and answer. Okay, that is how we will be approaching. That's how we should look into it. Yes, normally the paper would be easy. That is how it has been since it has been introduced, right? Till the last exam also it was easy, and this being the last exam of economic loss open book exam, it should be easy. Okay, it should be easy. So try and maximize the marks. Why I'm saying it will be easy is 40 marks of MCQs, right? Every case study will have 10 marks of MCQs. 5 questions, 2 mark each. Normally, that is how it is. So 5 questions, 2 mark is 40 marks of MCQs, no negative marking. So out of this 40 marks, and normally those MCQs will be easy as well, easy to score as well. We need not write also. We have to just pick the correct option and write. That's all. Share the OMR rather, right? That's all. So it is very easy to score. Out of 40, even if we get 30 marks there, out of the other 60 marks in descriptive, we can always manage the balance marks. Correct? So focus on these MCQs, and it is possible for us to score 40 on 40. in the MCQs. It is possible, right? Focus on the MCQs whilst answering the MCQs, not only MCQs, the descriptive as well, but specifically MCQs, read the question carefully. Okay, you can read it twice, thrice, no problem. Read the questions carefully, understand the requirement, take the help of the material that you are carrying, and then answer. And fill in the OMR correctly. Don't make the blunder of getting the right answer but answering it differently. So don't make that. And no negative marking. Don't skip any MCQs, for God's sake. That's a big blunder that we would be doing. Just take whatever option you know. Even if you're not looking into, even if you're not knowing the correct answer, just do inky pinky punky and come. You will get, just in case, right? Out of 10 questions, if you are answering through guesswork, even if you get 3 questions right, you will have 6 marks in your pocket, right? So that's the reason. So do not skip any MCQs. Time management is important. As I said, have a target of 50 minutes per case study, so that you will have that 10-minute question always. And do not read the entire case study in full. Just glance for hint, read the questions, and come back to the case studies later. If you are feeling that you are not able to identify the provisions, which is that chapter that they're talking about, normally it doesn't happen. Normally they will mention the act itself in the case study or the question, right? So it will be easy. It will be easy for us to identify. Just in case if you're not able to identify that particular question, which is the chapter that they are focusing on, check for the hint. Right, check for the hint. In case of PMLA, for example, they would have given something related to attachment of property. Right, so check for the hint. So then you will get to know, yes, this should be the chapter that it is focusing on. And while answering descriptive, similar to the focus or approach that we have done in law, format of answering, right? Provisions of the law, facts of the case, analysis, conclusion. In that order itself, answer in bullet points, not paragraphs. Then don't quote wrong sections. Here we need not remember the section numbers. It's we are referring the material. So here we cannot afford to quote wrong sections, and always write section numbers here. Since we are referring the material and answering, always write section, subsection, whatever is there in the material, always write those references, so that it adds value to your answer. Charts, tables, etc. can be used. It's not that we should reproduce whatever is there in the material. Not required. Analyze and write. So we can use charts, tables, etc. and focus on writing qualitative answer than quantitative. Here, that risk might be there, because since this being the open book exam, we have the material in the examination hall. We would refer the material and write whatever is there in the material in our answer book. So you will write pages together, not required. Right? Just answer to the point. That is what is required. The material is just for us to understand the provision, get the analysis right. Ultimately, while answering, we will answer properly up to the point, on the point. It's not that they'll ask you write down the features of a particular law, etc., or write the Bare Act or whatever it is as it is of a particular section. No, it's analysis based questions only that would be asked. We have to read, analyze, and answer. Okay, that's how it would be. Frame the answers in your mind before writing. This is what we would have learned in all the 5 papers before writing. We have to frame the answers before writing. Simple language, but appropriate words. We need not reproduce the material as it is. Legible handwriting. Write correct question numbers. These are the small things, right, that we should take care. It might look silly now, but in the examination hall, these are the things that we have to focus more. And since we have been given 4 hours, utilize all those entire 4 hours to your fullest extent. Don't stop writing before time. And first hour is crucial in all papers, in this as well. Answer the best case study first. Okay, when you're looking into the case study, you'll get to know which is the best case study for you. So answer the best case study. Which should be the best case study? You have a case study booklet released by ICAI. That contains around 54 case studies. Okay, most of the times when you go back to the previous examination questions, at least one case study they have lifted from the case study book. So take this case study book print, carry to the examination hall. Okay, if you should know which are these case studies, and if any case study is being lifted from that case study book, that is the first case study that you are answering, because that case study book also has the answers. Correct. So you will get full out of 25 marks. You can score even which case they cut some marks 20 plus in that case study. And in the first 1 hour, if you are getting 20 plus marks, your pressure is gone. Right, you can maximize in this paper then, right? So first hour is very crucial. Take all the stationaries required. Even in economic loss, take calculator just in case they ask us some practical questions in IBC, order of priority of payment, just in case they ask what to do, right? Take calculator. Take the same material that you have used for the preparation, whatever material it is. It need not be ICAI material. Okay, whatever material that you have referred, take that material itself. Why? Because you are used to refer that material. You know which provision is in which part of the chapter, in which part of the page, or which part of the book. So it is easy for you to refer. You will not waste time then. Correct. So you take the same material that you have used for your preparation, and don't take multiple materials. Okay, that is a don't do that blunder. You might see some of your friends or students who would write tomorrow, day after, you will see there they bring luggage together of books. Not required. Take that one material that you will be referring, preferably if you are referring ICAI material, best material, or the CAPS material that we would have discussed, right? So either of these two materials. Apart from that, that case study booklet. These are the only two materials that you will be carrying in the examination hall. Not beyond that. Don't take any other material. These two materials more than sufficient. Okay, it will be easy for you to refer also. Else you will be confused which material to refer. You will waste time there. You will not be able to complete the paper then, right? So don't do that mistake. Take only two materials. The one, the reference material that you are carrying, that you are referring. Second, ICAI case study booklet. Yes, these are the things that we'll be looking into. Then we have 7 chapters in the syllabus, right? Competition Act, RERA, Real Estate Regulation Development Act, IBC, PMLA, FEMA, Prohibition of Benami Property Transaction Act, and SARASI. Now, questions will not be chapter wise. Case study will have bundle of 2 or 3 chapters together. Normally 2 chapters, sometimes 3 chapters as well, 3 acts as well, right? So questions would be mixed. So we have to be aware of all these chapters. Now, what should we do in the next 1.5 days? Very important thing is we should have an index. Okay, of the material that you are carrying. Now, let's say we are carrying ICAI material. Okay, ICAI material will have an index in the beginning, but that will not be a detailed one. That might not help us. So prepare one index for your discussion, for your reference, which you can refer. First thing, you have to take post-it. Most of us would have done these things already, but just in case those who have not done, these are the things that you can do in the next 1.5 days. No need to panic. Even if you have not opened this material at all, also nothing to worry. Okay, next 1.5 days, what you are doing, take post-its. Every chapter beginning, paste that post-its and write, this is the chapter, Competition Act, RERA, insolvency, right? And post it in different pages, different places rather, right? So here you'll Competition Act, RERA, IBC, so that chapter, if you have to refer, you have to just open that page, right? It will be easy for you. Then have an index, preferably chapter-wise. Chapter-wise index, separate topics, subtopics in that chapter. For example, IBC, you will have financial creditor application related, section 7. This is the page. Operational creditor application, section 8/9. This is the page. The corporate data related, section 10. This is the page, right? Voluntary liquidation. This is the page number. So that if you open this page, you will have this index ready. You can refer that page and you can easily locate the answer. This is what we have to do in the next 1.5 days. Important one, because this helps us in those 4 hours. Drastically, it reduces the time required to answer. Second, in that case study booklet, that 54 case study that I was referring to, right? In that case study booklet, you should have the hard copy ready. Then go through the case studies, make an index. Case study number 1, what is the page number? Which are the topics that it is focusing on? Not only the chapters. In IBC, if it is talking about IBC, in IBC, which is the topic that it is talking about? If it is talking about preferential transaction. In FEMA, if it is talking about residential status, current account transaction, capital account transaction, write down that as well. So that in the question, if you feel, yes, somewhere I have read this case study, come back to the index. Yes, you will find this case study, easily locate and answer. Right? This is what we will do. And obviously, we will also have to refer the concepts, refresh our concepts. So which are those topics, important topics that we have to refer, that we have to revise in these 7 chapters? It is easy. We have only 7 chapters. We don't have 20 chapters like corporate law and economic laws subject, right? So we can definitely revise. Comfortably, we can revise. The first chapter that we have is Competition Act. There we have introduction part, definition of agreement, cartel, consumer, and relevant market. Very important. Okay, so these things, they will question based on these concepts itself, based on this definition itself. So test our understanding of the definition, right? Then we have anti-competitive agreements, horizontal, vertical. We have bid rigging, abuse of dominant position. This is a hot topic in Competition Act. So they'll question mainly based on whether this is abuse of dominant position, whether it is not. There are various examples, case laws as well, right? Look into those things. Combination, categories of combination based on the financial limits, right? Acquisition and mergers and acquisition, mergers and amalgamation, regulation of combination, Competition Commission of India will pitch in, right? What are their duties, powers and functions, and duties of Director General? What are their duties? Then penalties, very important one. They can question on penalties. Then we have competition advocacy, a concept on competition advocacy, finance, accounts, and audit of that particular aspect in that particular act, appellate tribunal related points, appeal provisions. Right? These are the important topics that we will be focusing on in Competition Act. Then RERA, Real Estate Regulation and Development Act 2016. Here, again, some concept-based questions normally. Features of RERA. Then we have scope of RERA, benefit of RERA for allottees. What is the advantage? What safeguard or what are the security aspects that allottees will get because of this act? Then definitions, a definition of advertisement, what is agreement for sale, who is an allottee, right? Because ultimately the benefit or the immunity is given or security is given under this act to allottee. So he should be under the terminology of allottee. So who is an allottee? What is an apartment? Definition. What is carpet area? Important definition. Commencement certificate, common area, completion certificate, occupancy certificate. Who is a promoter? Important. Who is a real estate agent? Right? These are the different definitions that could be questioned on. Then registration of real estate project, when it has to be registered compulsorily, the limits, etc. Look into it. Registration of real estate agents. Agents also will have to be registered. Functions, duties, and obligations of the promoter. Real estate regulatory authority, that authority, who the composition of that authority, what are their functions, central advisory council, right? What do they do, functions, roles. Then lastly, offenses, penalties, adjudication. What are offenses that are covered in this act? What are the penalties for such offenses, and how such offenses are adjudicated and penalty order shall be passed. And lastly, same finance, accounts, audits, and reporting. Reporting can be important because there are some CA reporting as well. Chartered accountants have to report certain things, certifications. So that can also be asked. Okay, these are the important aspects in RERA. Then we have IBC. It is the syllabus is exactly same as paper 4 IBC. Plus, there are some case laws. There are some case laws that are inserted. And some regulations are extra. Some regulations are extra that we have to look into. Okay. So this is the first chapter that we are looking in as common, right? In common. So we'll look into what are their introduction, applicability of IBC, for whom it is applicable, definitions of claim, corporate debtor, default, corporate applicant, financial creditor, and operational creditor, of which financial creditor, operational creditor, corporate applicant definitions will be important. Then CIRP, very, very important concept. Even in paper 4, we did discuss the same. CIRP is very, very important. Corporate insolvency resolution process. The entire thing, right? Application by whom? Once the application is admitted, the IRP will be constituted, will be appointed, moratorium will be announced, then IRP will accept the claims, constitute COC, Committee of Creditors first meeting, RP will be appointed, RP will ask for resolution plans from resolution applicants, information memorandum would be released, right? Based on the resolution plan received, RP will compare whichever satisfies the conditions presented before the Committee of Creditors. Committee of Creditors will approve 66%, presented before NCLT. If NCLT approves, the process of CRP comes to an end. Implementation of the resolution plan will start. If NCLT rejects or Committee of Creditors reject or RP doesn't receive any resolution plan within the time limit, 180 plus 90, total 330 days, NCLT will order for liquidation. Right? This entire process of CIRP, we have to look into. I have just summarized the process. There are some regulations that we have to look into there. Okay, just focus there. Then liquidation process. Here, liquidation process is in depth, unlike paper 4. In paper 4, it's just a summary. Here, it is in depth. What is the role of the liquidator? What does he do? How we have to pay remuneration to him? That is also specified in the regulations, right? Percentages. So look into those procedures and regulations. Then PPIRP, whatever we have discussed in paper 4, pre-packaged insolvency resolution process. The difference here is they themselves will have the resolution plan ready. Base resolution plan is what they call it. The corporate applicant themselves will have it ready. MSMEs, it is applicable. 10 lakh is the limit. There are some differences when compared to normal CRP. Normal procedure remains the same. There are some uniqueness in PPIRP, differences when compared to CIRP that we will look into. Then fast track CIRP, exactly same as CIRP. Time limit is half. For whom it is applicable, everyone cannot go under fast track CIRP. Applicability is what they will normally be focused on. Then time limit. Then voluntary liquidation process. This was, if CIRP fails, what happens? That liquidation. This is voluntary liquidation. In Companies Act, there are two types of liquidation. Compulsory liquidation, winding up, voluntary winding up. Compulsory winding up is still under Companies Act. Voluntary winding up, they have routed through IBC. Companies Act does not give the provisions. They have omitted those provisions in the Companies Act. So voluntary liquidation is under IBC now. So voluntary liquidation procedure, the entire procedure is given in the act, in the material. So look into that material, look into the process. You'll be able to answer if any question is asked. Then adjudicating authority, NCLT is the appellate provision. In case of non-corporates, it would be DRAT, right? Then offenses and penalties, which we have to focus here. Then regulations of insolvency professional. Insolvency professional will be registered with insolvency professional agency. Both in IP and IPA will be regulated by IBBI. And there is one concept called information utility, who would be a database of all the information. Ultimate control is with IBBI. So these are the concepts that we have in IBC. Then we have PMLA, the second common chapter. We have discussed PMLA in paper 4 as well. Same paper 4. Additional examples are given. Look into those examples. That examples itself can become case studies in the exam. Right? And rules. In paper 4, rules were not there. Here they have given rules. We have to look into those rules. Definition of money laundering, important. Proceeds of crime, property, scheduled offense. Right? Offenses specified in the schedule. Right? Part A, Part B, Part C schedule has. So those list is given in the material. So here in paper 4, that schedule was not important, because we cannot memorize the entire acts which were mentioned in the schedule. But here, since we have to refer, schedule might be important. They can give you some random act and they can question you whether PMLA is applicable or not. Then we have to refer that schedule. If it is part of the schedule, then only it will be applicable, right? So that schedule will be important. It's there in the CAPS material as well. That schedule is mentioned. Then offenses of cross-border. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Oh. Yes. Okay. There was some technical issue. Fine, we'll continue with our discussion. So in PMLA, I was talking about that scheduled offenses. Here, scheduled offenses are important. Okay, scheduled offense list can be given in the exam. List is given in the material. So in the exam, they can pick up a random act and say whether it's a scheduled offense or whether PMLA applies for it, for the offenses under that act, right? So we have to refer the scheduled offense. It's part of the CAPS material as well, so you can refer there. Then we have offenses of money laundering, punishment. Here punishment is again important. Attachment related provisions, adjudication and confiscation, important. There we were not referring too much about attachment, adjudication and confiscation. Yes, even though we had said that there is a time limit for provisional attachment, then special court will do the final attachment, but here they go in depth. Questions also will be focused on these things: attachment, adjudication and confiscation. Read through whatever is given there, the procedure, then you will be able to answer. Obligations of banking companies, financial institution, intermediary. We have referred there as well. They have to report cash transaction, suspicious transaction reports, maintenance of record, rules. There we did not read the rules. Here we have the rules. Okay, so rules specifically gives what all they have to report, time limit for reporting, everything in detail. So go through that. Summons, search and seizure related provisions, along with attachment, these also can be asked. Appellate tribunal, special courts. So these are all the adjudication aspects. Then reciprocal arrangements for foreign related. Each country, India might have arrangements with various countries for information sharing cross-border, right? Then other penalties. Apart from normal money laundering penalty, what are the other penalties that are there? Continuation of proceedings in case of death or insolvency. Normally, in other laws, in case of death or insolvency, case will come to an end. Case will gets closed. But here, case will continue. The legal heir will become responsible. So this normally will be asked. Many times they have asked in the exams on this as well. Right? So look into these aspects. Next common topic, the third chapter, which is common, FEMA. Right? Again, whatever you have learnt in paper 4, same. Extra examples given, extra regulations are given. Right? That we have to focus. Definitions which are important: capital account transaction, current account transaction, person resident in India, important. Repatriate into India. What do we understand? What do we mean by repatriation? So that can be asked. Residential status, regulation and management of foreign exchange, section 3. There are some restrictions given. Look into those restrictions. Lists in current account transactions, very important. Lists under capital account transactions, very important. These two we cannot miss. And acquisition of immovable property as well, important, because there is some amendment that has happened last year. The rules, they have tinkered a bit. So look into that aspect as well. With regard to NRIs, completely non-resident and person of Indian origin, separate rules given. Then ECB, some small amendments happened, so can be asked in the exam. Overseas investment, very, very important. The entire regulation you have to look into. So, which is, this entire regulation is given in paper 4 RTP as well. So you can refer that, or this statutory update as well in this paper also. So you can refer that. You can take that as well into the examination hall. Statutory update you can carry. Yes, that might be important. Then export regulations. Here it is a little in depth. Other than paper 4, they have regulations. Realization, repatriation and surrender of foreign exchange can be important. Penalties, here and there they can ask. Then compounding of offenses and adjudication and appeals related provisions can be important. Enforcement directorate and contravention by companies. If companies contravene, who will be held in charge? Normally persons who are responsible, managing director or officers in default. All directors, will they be held responsible? Only if they are found guilty, right? It's contravention by companies. The next chapter that we have is Prohibition of Benami Property Transaction Act 1988. Again, this is not there. It's a new one, right? We have not learned in paper 4. Definition of Benami property, Benami transaction, Benami dar, beneficial owner, fair market value, property. Right? These are important. Some of the definitions. Benami dar, Benami property, Benami transaction are important definitions of which. Then prohibition of Benami transactions. It is prohibited. Authorities under this act who will look into the compliances, non-compliances, etc. Attachment of the property. adjudication and confiscation. Similar to PMLA, here attachment related are important. Sometimes you might get confused whether it is attachment under PMLA, attachment under Benami property. So we have to carefully read the case study in such cases. Benami property, are they discussing about Benami property or are they discussing about PMLA? Then we have appellate tribunal, special court, offenses and prosecution. Similar, the structure is similar. This Benami Act and PMLA structure is similar. This is a small act. This is a small discussion. So it's easy to score there. The last chapter, SARASI. This was introduced from May 2022. Here, mainly focus on case laws. This is an old act. Basically, once IBC has been introduced, this act has lost its relevance. However, they have introduced it in the syllabus. However, here, more than the concepts, case laws are important. So focus on all the case laws that is given in the material. Apart from the case laws, definition of asset reconstruction company. What do they do? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then definition of debt, definition of financial assistance, definition of NPA, non-performing asset, qualified buyer. Who is a qualified buyer? What is the process of securitization? SARASI, basically they focus on two things. One is securitization. That is converting loans into securities, advances into securities. Then second one is reconstruction of financial assets, ensuring that stressful assets become good assets, right? Bad assets, NPAs become good. So these are the two things. And enforcement of security interest. If there is a default, if it is secured loan, banks can enforce the security, take out that property into their possession without any court's interference. The borrower cannot go to court in such cases because SARASI gives the immunity. Right? That's the entire concept all about. Securitization, secured creditor, security interest. What are those? Then regulation of securitization and reconstruction of financial assets. How to regulate this process of securitization, converting loans into securities. Asset reconstruction company comes into picture, right? So there are some regulations there. Look into that regulation. Enforcement of security interest. How do we enforce that security interest? How do I take away the possession in case of default? That related aspect discussion. There is a concept called central registry, similar to information utility. There is a central registry. In SARASI, it is called SARASI, the central registry, wherein every time, whenever there is a secured loan, the banks have to compulsorily register that loan in SARASI, data bank. It's a database, right? So look into that central registry related aspects. Registration by secured creditors, compulsory. Other creditors may register. Offenses and penalties under SARASI in case of non-compliances. What if the secured creditors related, if they do not register, what is the consequence? What is the penalties? Right? These are the things that are there in that chapter. Now, coming to previous year exams, right? The last two exams, how was it? What were the topics that they were focusing on? Normally, there is no weightage as such. Okay, they are equally focusing on all the 7 chapters. Now, November 22 exam, case study 1, there was first case study had RERA for 12 marks, IBC for 13 marks. Case study 2, FEMA for 14 marks, Competition Act for 11 marks. Case study 3, PMLA for 15 marks, FEMA for 10 marks. Case study 4, PMLA for 4 marks, IBC 2 marks, FEMA 10 marks, Benami 4 marks, SARASI 5 marks. So this case study had 5 chapters. Total confusion, right? It would interlink for 5 chapters. So case study would be very, very large. So these kind of case studies will take time. Case study 5, IBC 13 marks, Competition Act 12 marks. Normally, leave out that case study which has multiple chapters because it takes time to answer unless you don't know any of the other case studies. Okay, that is how you will have to choose. May 2023 exam, the recent one that happened, case study 1, we had PMLA for 10 marks, SARASI 5, IBC 10. FEMA, case study 2, FEMA for 12 marks, Competition Act 5, Benami Act 5, RERA 3. Case study 3, Competition Act 10, RERA 15. Case study 4, SARASI 10, PMLA 2, IBC 13. Case study 5, Benami Act 9, PMLA 16. Don't leave out that case study, which will have questions either on IBC, FEMA or PMLA, because we have learned the concepts already in depth in paper 4, right, these chapters. So it will be easy for us to connect, easy for us to answer in these rather than the other chapters. Even though, yes, other chapters also would have prepared well, but since we have already read these chapters in paper 4 related exam, it will be easy for us to connect. So don't miss those questions, case studies. Okay, having said that, here, even though it's open book exam, the only advantage of open book exam is we need not memorize by heart. Okay, memory based questions, we need not worry about. But conceptual clarity is must. It is not that I'll go to the examination hall, depending on the question, I will analyze the question. They're sitting there, I will read the entire law, give my interpretation. We will not have so much time there. Right? Conceptual clarity is very much required. The only thing is we'll have that cushion to refer the material and use those appropriate words and answer. Or wherever we have some confusions, we can refer there and answer, right? That is what open book exam is all about, testing our conceptual clarity. So conceptual clarity is must. And solve those case studies. Just refer those 54 case studies, right? I was talking about. Refer those 54 case studies. Solve 3-4 case studies for your familiarity, just to get to know how it is. You can also refer previous year examination questions, right? Just to get to know how the questions will be for familiarity, so that it will be easy for you to approach in the examination. And refer relevant case law material. There is one more material released by the institute. So you can take, that's a small one. They will have some important case laws. Take that material also with you. Case study digest book, very, very important. Easily we can score minimum 25 marks. In some of the exams, there were 2 case studies lifted, 50 marks. Right? That we will get to know only if you have referred that case study booklet. Right? So even only if we are familiar with those case studies. If we are familiar with those case studies, 50 marks is in our pocket. Right? 40 marks easily we can score. And subject-wise capsules that is there in the ICA material, ICA website, they have some sample case studies. Okay, that may be lifted sometimes. So refer those sample case studies as well. And while answering, have positive attitude and positive mindset. Don't panic. You should not face any situation in this exam specifically to panic. However, even if the worst case scenario, even if the paper is too complicated, you're not able to answer those questions, relax, don't panic. You start answering with the easiest question, whichever you know, you will get that confidence and you can manage. Okay, you will be able to manage. As I said in paper 4, I'll not give you any specific timetable. Whichever chapters that you want to start first, you will be doing that in that order. But you have a plan. Have a plan for the next 1.5 days. Spend 15 minutes, you'll be able to plan well. So have that plan ready, then implement it. Okay, that is what you will be doing. So even if you're not revising the topics, that's fine, but don't miss that summarization, that index one, right? That will definitely help in the exam. So finish those things and believe in yourselves, right? If you believe in yourselves, half job done. Then later is just implementation. The only place where success comes before work is in dictionary. So we have to work hard to get success. We are almost through, correct? It's a matter of just more than a week, right? So focus, don't lose hope. We are almost done to reach the victory. Why I'm telling that is, why I'm telling to push on for just 7-8 more days is all the studying that we are doing now, all the efforts that we are putting, all the hard work that we are doing, the sleepless nights that we have spent, ultimately is worth it in the end. On the result day, when you see PASS, all the efforts that you have put is definitely worth. That day you will realize, right? So push yourselves, focus, don't lose hope, don't deviate. It will definitely happen, right? You will be able to do it. In this paper specifically, don't relax, right? Just thinking that it's an open book exam. No, have the same efforts, put in the same efforts that you have put for the other papers as well, so that you can maximize the marks. Okay, you can definitely maximize the marks in this paper. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Any general thing to be asked? Any doubts?
Sir, I had a question, sir. For MCQs, out of 5, can we attend MCQs for all to be on a safer side? Can
On a
we
safer
see?
side, definitely yes. Okay, so on a safer side, you answer all the 5 case studies. MCQs
Yes,
at
sir.
least. Yes, MCQ at
Yes,
least you answer. Descriptive also, if you have time, right?
Yes,
Just write some answers and come. What if that case study is a bouncer and if they award grace marks there,
yes, sir.
you will get it,
There
right?
is no thing that they'll not value that paper,
No.
something like
No, there is a clarification. Initially, they brought that some rule some years back, 4 5 years back, but there is a clarification that they'll go with the best answers.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, and also for those case studies where they, since it is open book, I heard that answer should be more standard and all that. So I got
More
doubt.
standard in the sense it should be on the point. Okay, if we cannot write generic answers,
Yes, sir.
however, it doesn't mean that we should reproduce the material as it is.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can we summarize all the provisions which we want to write and all the facts which we want to write, sir, that way?
Yes, definitely you can do that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
Yes.
Sir, I have one doubt. Suppose
Yes.
a question comes from our case study book only. Can we copy it like that? Yeah, we need to write it.
Yes, you can do that, but we will not.
Time consuming.
I personally will not suggest to do that. Don't copy paste as it is. You can
Provision
definitely
we need
refer
to
the
write.
answer. Yeah, you can definitely refer the answer. I do. Having said that, there is no harm even if you copy paste. Okay, but what
But
I feel
time-
is since it is
time
lifted from the
should be
material,
there.
they might expect something more. Yeah, they might expect something more than what is given in the suggested answers.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so to get full marks, I'm telling, you will get the minimum mark that should be awarded for that answer. Definitely they'll give you. But since it is lifted from the material, we'll aim for full 25 marks.
Is
So
that case study book full para, no? When how
yes,
can you write
yes.
it?
And case study answers or suggested answers, they'll always give in paragraph. So we should not write the end or whatever is given there, right? So we need not write everything there. We have to summarize, write it in points.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. Right then, guys. So we'll not waste time. You will have extra 15 minutes to prepare for your exams. Use that and prepare. Wish you all the best, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.